A lot of my students actually learn the numerals and be able to verbally identify them for me. And what I did was, I received from Confessions from a Homeschooler. This was not free. It wasn't expensive, but it was not free. I printed it on cardstock. I laminated and cut it out. But I did print it double-sided so that I can use it over and over again. I like to use pom-poms with this with my students because they tend to do this. When we were in M week, we used M&Ms, and these mats, because they're laminated, are very easily wiped off and they are durable. Another book I've used is Numbers Galore, and as you see, it's by Lacey Yates, Wild About Teaching. I love blogs. Blogs are a wonderful place to find interventions and just ideas for your classroom. And in these, we have the student can write their name up there. You can have them make their own book individually, or you can do what I did. I actually, once again, printed these out on cardstock and laminated them so that they can be used multiple number of times, so that I can really hit those students that really need to work on their number recognition. So right here we have the number 0. You draw the number 0, you put the tally marks. Obviously there would be no tally marks there. You put what's 1 more than 0 and 1 less. Now for pre-kindergarten students, obviously you wouldn't do the 1 less. That might be too difficult, but you never know. You may have a student who's ready for that. They draw the zeros and they write the word 0. I like this book a lot. My students have a lot of fun. I'm sure, as you can see, I have a glare from the laminating film, but also where the students have used their dry erase markers to clean it up. The only thing that I would change about this book, but you don't really want to reinvent the wheel, especially if you're trying to do this at home, is that she already has the number of circles that need to be filled in. I would take that number out so that my students could do it themselves. But as I said, you draw the number 1, you write the tally mark, 1 more of 1, 1 less, and then you also have the numeral and then the word. So this can actually be used for students who are struggling and also students who are advanced. You can have them work on different concepts, whatever you need them to work on. I have a few students who are working diligently on sight words, and we consider our number words sight words. So this ONE1 really helps them because not only are they spelling it, they're writing it, and they're seeing it in different forms so that it stays within their brains. Now, I have a couple of books here, and I'm sure everyone who's watching this post has books at home. I have these in my classroom as well as at my house. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and she loves The Wheels on the School Bus. The Wheels on the School Bus is a nice book because it goes to the tune of The Wheels on the Bus. And it goes through the different teachers and what the different teachers, tell the students as they get on and off the bus. And it helps them because you're singing it, but you can sing it and point to the words as you go along. This book also has a lot of rhyming words in it, and it has a lot of educational words in it that you like to teach your students. You want to read, you want to read your books. So it helps with their vocabulary as well. It has beautiful pictures in it, and I love to use these books because you will have some students who come in who don't know how to hold a book correctly, or they like to rip up books. So I like to take these books and sit down and read with the students and point to each word as I read the story so that they also learn that print goes from left to right. Oh my goodness. Horrible. Sorry about that. Okay. And Are You My Mother? This isn't necessarily a Dr. Seuss book, but it has a lot of things that the students can relate to. They like it because it's pictures. It tells a beautiful story. And a lot of times I use this book when my students are having a difficult time separating from their mothers, because at the end, he's looking for his mom throughout the whole story, and at the end, he finds her and he's happy. So I always let them know that while, your mom may have to go away for a little while and you stay in school, she will always come back and get you. And I've noticed that a lot of my students don't have such a hard time after a couple of times reading this book and understanding that their mom will always come back. Now, I promised you all I promised you all that I would show you how I monitor my students with these interventions. This is actually our color recognition worksheet that we use in the classroom, and this is for our quarterly assessments that we use for our report cards. And yes, pre-K students get report cards. They are plus and minus signs, but this allows me to see what colors they know, because when I point to them, I expect them to tell me this is black, this is pink, this is brown. And then I actually will mark it on a sheet that my colleague actually found. I do not know where she found it, so I apologize. I want to make sure that you all know this was not my creation and not my colleague's creation, but she did find it on the internet. It goes over the colors, the shapes, the 4 basic shapes, and then it also has some additional shapes. It has number recognition up to 30. The only thing I would like about this particular recognition is if it had the number 0, but it goes 1 through 30. Rote counting, so how far can you count just on your own. Counting objects, the days of the week, the months of the year, and the 4 seasons, because we all talk about it. Well, I copied this 2-sided to save on paper. Ooh, sorry about that, guys. I'm having technical difficulties. Okay, and on this side, we have capital letter recognition, lowercase letter recognition. We have the letter sounds, and we have sight words. Now, depending on your program, depending on who you are as a parent, you may or may not want to introduce your child to sight words at such a young age. My district does introduce sight words, and I am happy to say my students know quite a few since this has come about. Now, the only issue with this is this was emailed to me and in a PDF, so I was not able to modify it, but this has a general amount of sight words from the Dolch list, and I would actually change some of these because I don't introduce words like little or where until the end of the school year, but it has a nice little list for you. My interventions, I was telling you that you have to document your interventions so that you can find out, what it was that you were doing, how long you did it for. Well, we did our ABC books, and what I actually did is I put the students' names here, and underneath each intervention, under each date, I would write how long we did these interventions. Now, this particular week, all of my students happen to be here these 3 days. A lot of times they are not, but luckily they were this time, so I can show you. We did the ABC books. Now, this was the first time we were doing the ABC books, so the reason why this intervention was 40 minutes long was because they were cutting and gluing their ABC book for that amount of time. Now, I would never recommend you doing an intervention for more than 10 to 15 minutes. And as you can see, on the last day, we read the ABC book. I wrote the letters that they knew that were in the book and how long that lasted. I also have in here some work samples. We worked on their names. So this is a student named Andre. He had to write his name. He did a really good job, but he's having a little bit of trouble with his E's. So I demonstrated how you write an E, and we had him practice writing his E's. I have other students. I have more work. This is a little boy in my classroom. His name is Jalen. We have him write in boxes. We have him first trace it, and then write in those boxes so that he will recognize that tall letters, in between letters, and long letters at the bottom. We also have another student named Fernando. These are my 3 students that I'm working with very closely. He just traced his name, no issues, no problems, and then he wrote it underneath. As you can see, he can write his name, but, he's 4. It's not going to be picture perfect. It will not be like how he wrote it on, how he traced it on the lines. If I were to show you something that he wrote on lines, it would look just like this. He would not be able to stay in the lines. But this is a start for our 4-year-old, and I am very, very happy with their progress. And I will actually show you just in a few minutes some interventions I use on the computer. I'm actually using the iPad to record this, so I can't show you the interventions that I use on the iPad, but the iPad is an excellent resource. So if you have one at home, if your child's teacher has one in the classroom, find out what they're doing with it, because I have used this video app, lovely video, to not only do this intervention program for you, but also to record my students as they're working so that I can show their parents this is what they're doing in class. And if I have students who are very inconsistent and parents who are adamant saying, well, he knew this at home, well, I can show you this is what he did for me. As much as I would, most times parents are right because they are the child's first teacher and they know the child best. So if they say, my child knows A through Z, their child most likely knows A through Z in some way, shape, or form. It may be through memorization. Okay, we know this is A, so the next letter is B, but that doesn't mean the child doesn't know it. We just need them fluent. But, just see what your child's teacher is doing. See if they have any videos, or if they're, they can videotape if you have any questions or concerns for them, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help you, to talk to you, and help you through everything, because that's the only way that we as teachers are going to know what it is that you expect of us. So please talk to us. Keep that door of communication wide open. That way, if something is wrong and your child is not telling us something, at least we'll know from you, and we can figure out how to help this child together, because we are a partnership and we really have to work together. I will be right back with some lovely interventions that I use on the computer.